Hello, welcome to episode number 369 of the TEW 28 Challenge Run. This is going to be Raw for week 4 of May 2023. It's the go-home show to Starrcade this Saturday. And on tonight's show, we're going to find out who gets the War Games advantage from that match. It was Baron Corbin takes on Adam Cole, baby. And we're also going to have Bronson Reed against Humberto Carrillo ahead of that big tag team match this Saturday. And we're going to have a contract signing for the championship match between Charlotte Flair and Danny Jordan, where Triple H has promised a big announcement, and you may have, a hint of what that could be if you watch SmackDown. And then the main event of tonight's show will be for the Intercontinental Championship, as Chad Gable defends against Johnny Gargano. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into tonight's show. The opening segment gets a 94. It's the contract signing for the championship match this Saturday, Charlotte Flair against Danny Jordan. And Charlotte's in the ring, Danny Jordan's in the ring, Batista and Boogs are in the ring. And he goes, ladies, this Saturday at Starrcade, an event synonymous with Flairs in the past. Another Flair walks down the ramp at Starrcade as Charlotte Flair defends her Raw Women's Championship against her challenger, her former protege, Danny Jordan. And we're waiting here tonight to sign the contract, make it official after, a couple of weeks of you two bickering about whether or not the match will actually take place. And Charlotte goes, bickering? You call it bickering, do you? I call it young defiance. Okay, listen here, Danny, I know you want to prove to the world just how great you are and how you think you can hang with someone like me. But you're dumb for taking this match, Rhea Ripley targeted your legs 2 weeks ago, and now you're gonna sit here and you're gonna pretend that you're on my level. Stop. Okay, yes, you're looked at as the underdog here, and I, more than anybody, I know how good you are. Nobody else really knows truly how good you are, apart from me, because we spent all those years together. Okay, so I know that there's a champion inside you, just not at Starrcade, just not against me. Okay, you got Money in the Bank, Money in the Bank's a couple of weeks after Starrcade. That's more your speed. Okay, I won it last year, but I didn't need to win it, let's be real. But you're not on my level, but you're damn sure good enough. And then she's like, Charlotte, stop. She's like, for weeks, since I became the number one contender for your championship, I've been really sitting here and think, why is Charlotte so scared of me? Because that's what you are, you're scared. You're trying to get me to back out of this match. You don't want to defend your title against me. And it's something you said just now that has really, really opened my eyes. You looked at me and you said that nobody knows how good I am apart from you. And that's hit the nail right on the head, Charlie. You are correct in that regard. And that's why you don't want me in this match. It's not because you're scared of losing to me. Because I believe your confidence when you believe that you think you're just going to walk right over me. But what if? Because everybody else just knows Jordan, Lady Jordan, Charlotte's right-hand woman, the woman who carried Charlotte's other tag team championship around last year. They know the Queen's Court, the second in command. But you know the real me. You know how good I am when I want something. And I want that championship. So, you've tried to weasel your way out of this match. Because you're embarrassed that you might get shown up by your little protege who you tossed aside because she wasn't good enough for you. She wasn't attractive enough for you. She didn't have the royal pedigree that you're looking for to be in this clique that you formed with you and these two second-generation stars you're claiming to mold. But the second you mold those stars, you mold Ava and you mold Ariana into the superstars they can become, you'll kick them to the curb just like you kicked me to the curb, and then you'll continue to try and belittle them just like you're trying to belittle me. So, Charlotte, you're right. Nobody knows how good I get apart from you. But Saturday night they're gonna find out. When I avenge everybody you've ever put down and take that championship away from this woman holding it hostage and prove that Charlotte Flair is a fraud. Out comes Triple H. And he goes, so, a lot of fine words, a lot of big heavy words being spoken out here tonight. This match at Starrcade, student versus teacher, friend versus foe. It's going to be big time. And we've signed the contract. Charlotte Flair and Danny Jordan will go one-on-one for Charlotte's championship at Starrcade. But the championship on the line will not be that Raw women's title. It will be the WWE Women's Championship. He puts the new belt on the table, or hands it to Charlotte or whatever, and then he leaves. And Charlotte picks up her belt, holds the new belt over her shoulder, and her and Jordan was like mouth off at each other off mic, as the contract signing ends. Triple H has introduced the WWE Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair. Doesn't look like the WWE title because I don't want to bring in that gold one from real life because I haven't got the gold WWE. I've said all this before. I did Candice's belt, but we've now separated. What I like about them is that the one I've just given Charlotte is red, and the one that I've just given Candice is blue, but they're not so obnoxiously red and blue that I think it would still be fine to swap them around if the time comes in the draft or whatever. Like, they're just gold with... They just happen to have those two accent colours on them. They're not objectively a red and a blue belt that would need to be filled with. So new titles. Charlotte's will defend hers against Jordan at Starrcade. WWE Women's Championship. 90 rated match. I opened with this. I'm main eventing with Gable and Johnny. But Adam Cole wins the babyfaces the War Games advantage. Weird, I know, but, wait, I'm not having Corbin beat anyone on this team. 94 for Adam Cole and 80 for Baron Corbin. And Adam Cole did just prove his loyalty. He proved that he does have good intentions at heart here. That he has helped Cody's team secure the advantage here heading into War Games. We then cut backstage. Kathy Kelly's with Wes Lee. And Wes Lee, we've had 2 video packages for the last 2 weeks, hyping up his story, his journey. And he says tonight, he's done talking. He wants to get back into that ring and he wants to let the world know just how good Wes Lee truly is. And then into frame walks Gunther and Imperium. He goes, kid, you got a lot of spunk. You remind me of Montez Ford in that regard. You remind me of Edge in that regard. Ask those two what happens when you step in the ring with the Ring General. So, you want to prove how good you are? Prove it to me, the standard bearer, here on Raw. And Wesley's like, okay, you're big tough, big tough guy, former world champion. But I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of anybody. If they'll challenge Gunther, consider it accepted. So Wesley and Gunther tonight. We then cut to a studio audience, pre-tape, just like earlier on in the day. It's the Titus World Record Factor. Titus, Truth, Shanky, and Billy are sat as the judges. And we get a montage of, local people, trying to win their place in Titus World Records, get a couple of, developmental wrestlers and all sorts in. And then in walks Elias. And he's strumming his guitar. He goes, hello, I am Elias. And I've got one question here for you, everybody here tonight. Who wants to walk with Titus World? And he pauses, he's like, records. And Titus is like, oh, he did the thing. It's like, so I've written a song here tonight. Goes out to everybody out there. It's about me and my future here in Titus World Records. And he starts strumming instrumental guitar. And then the song ends and everyone's in tears. Going, oh, beautiful, beautiful stuff, Elias. You are a truly wonderful musician of our times. We'll get back to you on whether or not you're going to be the guy. Then we get a couple more comedy spots, you know, a couple more terrible singers run in. And Titus like, okay, we got room for one more. Bring him in. And in walks a woman dressed up as an axolotl. And he's like, can I help you? What's your name? And she has a distorted voice.
Hi, I'm Axolotl.
And he's like, okay, why are you covering up your face?
Like, this is just how I like to be on stage. You know, I like to not bring attention to who I am and how I look. So I like to disguise myself and try and get the opportunities based on just my voice.
And I was like, wait, I love that. Well, fire away, Axolotl. And then the Axolotl starts singing some Disney song incredibly well. And he's like, oh, well, you blew me away. You said you wanted to hide your identity and bring it to just your voice, but what a voice you've got. It's you or Elias. You or Elias. And Shanky goes, she was very good. And Titus is like, but Elias sung about Titus world records. What to do? It's like, are you kidding me, dog? Like, she's so much better than Elias was. And, you know, like, you're just letting him get to your head because he sung about the group. It's like, It's like, Mike, you gotta be joking me. It's like, I've got it. I've made my decision. Callbacks. We'll bring you both out in front of the Monday Night Raw audience. And then we'll let it be known who the winner is. See you Monday. And Titus walks out. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Oh my god. Another match I knew would be fucking great. But I didn't expect this. In a 97 rated match, Dudley Davis gets a win over Kyle O'Reilly in 14 minutes 48 seconds with the Dudley device. Holy shit. 97. This was a lack of psychology. Imagine if there was psychology. 87 for Dudley. 91 for Kyle O'Reilly. And yeah, that makes this next segment, I say to steal the show. They sure as fuck did that. Good luck to Johnny and Chad Gable in the main event, who I think I also set to steal the show. So this could be the best in-ring rated Raw we've ever had. So then after the match, I had a handshake here, and that feels more than earned. After that, one of the best matches of the entire save, probably top 20. And Dudley celebrating his win, his return to Raw. When the crowd sort of starts making a lot of noise, as if somebody's just run through the crowd. And that's because somebody has. And Dudley's celebrating, he turns around, and he's dropped by an RKO from Randy Orton. Right, he just RKOs Dudley, drops him with an RKO, doesn't say a word, just rolls onto the bottom rope and back up the ramp. And after Dudley's incredible effort here tonight, Randy's just left him laying. We then cut backstage to DIY's locker room, and Johnny's on FaceTime with Candice, and she's showing him the belt. Oh my god, that's so good, you're officially a world champion, you're world champion, I'm so proud of you, babe, you've done such a good job, and you're now in the history books, the first ever woman to hold that belt. Yeah, he's like, hey, has baby Quill held it, has he been a little world champion yet? And then the baby holds the belt on FaceTime, and Ciampa just sort of walks in with his arms crossed, just watching. It's like, hey look, it's Tommaso, say hi, Tommaso. She's like, hey Tommaso, he's like, hey. It's like, Johnny, got a word? It's like, okay, love you, Candice, okay, take care of the belt. And he hangs up. He's like, what? It's like, you have an Intercontinental Championship main event tonight, yet you're FaceTiming your daughter, your son, even. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I want to be the Intercontinental Champion, but this is still the most important thing in my life. Tommaso, you know that. You're a dad. He goes, I do. And I know that, leaving my little girls behind, my wife behind, to come here, to pursue this career and become WWE champion was the hardest decision I had to ever make in my life. So I know what it's like. Okay? Don't you come to me and say, I don't know, and I'm not being sympathetic, because I am. Because I had to make the exact same decision. Which is why I know, I have to do what I have to do for them. And you're less in that position because obviously Candice is here as well, and she's the world champion over on SmackDown. So I get that you're not going to be as focused as I am on delivering and making your family proud, because your family is already proud because of everything that she's accomplished recently. But Johnny, you've got to bring Johnny Wrestling back. We need Johnny Wrestling. We need him tonight. I imagine, like, the entire time Tomato's, like, talking to him, Johnny is, like, for lack of a better term, I want the dynamic to be that, like, when Tomato's being stern with Gargano, like, you can see in his eyes, he's getting a little bit worried, and he's getting a little bit of I want it to have, like, while he trusts Ciampa, like, every time he sees him, like, fire him up, you can see in his eyes, he's, like, worried that he might snap and have to go through all that shit again. And that's why it's firing Johnny up. He goes, you know, you're right, Tommaso, I haven't been pulling my weight. And you know what will be better than Candice bringing one title home for the baby? Mom and Dad bringing one home back each. So, tonight, I'm going to take Chad Gable's championship. Johnny Wrestling style. And he leaves, and Tommaso's like, attaboy, there's Johnny Wrestling. There he is. We then cut back to Batista's office where the New Day are in there. And he goes, and Big E's, we're at the end of the conversation. He's like, in short, that is why your boy Xavier Woods here should be the first participant into the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Batista, well, spots aren't just given. Okay, I know that starting next week we've got to start building towards Money in the Bank, and there are 8 spots going, 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown, so obviously I've got to be in charge of the 4 Raw spots, men and women. And I'll take it under advisement, but we have matches already. There's only a few spots in matches going. So, if you want this, Woods, I think I can make it work. But it will cost you two not getting the chance to qualify. And Big E and Cody just look at each other and goes, oh, of course, you know, we've had our time on this fun. It's all about this guy now. This guy right here, Xavier Woods, the next world champion. I've had my run. He's had his run. Money in the Bank, his time. His time to take that step towards gold. New Day rocks. New Day rocks. 79. Just a match I throw on here just to get another women's match on the show. Julia and Zelina Vega, you know. This is something of a Money in the Bank preview because, you know, it's just 2 women that have nothing really. So it's like, oh, one of these 2 or both or neither could be in Money in the Bank. Who knows? Until the matches have been announced, nobody knows. But in 11:30, Julia wins with the diving crossbody. 86 for Julia, 72 for Zelina. Zelina was off her game, so that could have been even better than that. I'm giving Zelina a new gimmick. Adequate. Okay, sure. And yeah, there's a nice 11 minute showcase match here, showcasing some of the women on Raw. We then cut to Anthony Nese and Dominik backstage. And he goes, Dominik, Dom. Guess what? I've got the face of cruiserweight wrestling, an incredible opportunity. And he goes, what is it? He goes, you know how you beat your deadbeat dad last week in that tag match? Well, I've got you the chance to qualify for Money in the Bank. It's like, oh, that's awesome, Andy. Like, who is it next week? Like, yeah, next week against Warden. And Dominik's face suddenly just drops. And it's like, come again? It's like, yeah, you and Warden next week, you know, because you beat Ray, you didn't beat Warden. Warden gets never shown at Money in the Bank, you know, you're against him. He goes, yep, great, yeah, I'll be there. Then from off camera here, alright, if it ain't my best mate, Dom, you know, what's going on here, you know? Last week, me and you, best of buds, you know, great tag team. I think we're great, so I've been thinking about, you know, names for this team, you know, me and you, because we're best mates, you know. And I'm thinking, and now he's like, stop. I have a proposition for you, Grayson Waller. It's like, what? It's like, how would you like to be in Money in the Bank? Go, Money in the Bank, lad. I'm nailed on for that. I'm going to win the whole damn thing. And he's like, well, I actually hear that Batista wasn't thinking about putting you in a qualifier. But since you and Dominik are such good friends, I think I can pull some strings, and I think I can get you added to Dominik's qualifier next week. It's like, oh, that sounds awesome, lad. Wait, does that mean that only one of us can get in? It's like, yeah, I guess it does, but Dominik's got Warden, and we know you're chomping at the bit to get your hands on him, so if I go speak to Dave again, I'm sure he can get you added to that match. It's like, oh, seek, lad, let's have it. You two go off scram and talk to Dave, and I'll get ready for our, I'll help my best mate Dominik Mysterio get him Money in the Bank next week. He's gonna love it. And they walk off. And Grayson Waller's face, he changes. He's like, oh, fuck. Warden, I don't want to face him. Let's get a vignette. Maximum male models. Tonya taking Pretty Deadly out. And they're like fashion modeling. Like, it's the scene of them coming in and out of dressing rooms with new outfits on, going, yes, boy. Yes, boy. Yes, boy. And Tyler Breeze is there, but he's so disinterested. He just sat there, just straight-faced. Probably ends up just turning away towards the end. As Maxine, who the fuck is Maxine? Tonya gasses them up as they keep coming out with new outfits. It's like, it's perfect. You boys are ready to take over Monday Night Raw. I'm looking at a gorgeous, delicious set of the next Raw Tag Team Champions. They walk off, and she walks off, and they're like, oh, yes, boy. Yes, boy. New Tag Team Champs. Here we go, boy. There's a nice character piece, They're doing them in real life, like I said last week, and now I'm going to start doing them on my roster as well, because it's a good way to feature people. Speaking of good ways to feature people, we come back to Sensei and Carland in the dungeon, like sort of following. Like we can hear the Dark Father's evil laugh up in the distance echoing around, and that's what Carland and Sensei are following. And then they enter the opening and see him there, and then he says like, "Oh, you're out of your cage," and Sensei's like, "Yeah, this guy's really strong. He can rip the cage open. He's watched Kane's debut many times, so you got to do better than that one, buddy." And Dark's like, "Grill, it's actually quite nice that you two have made it out of here, because I needed guinea pigs for my new army to annihilate before we take over the world." And then Sensei and Khan just look around, like, what do you mean guinea pigs? And then in walk Manny, Dio, and Saray, but they're not the Manny, Dio, and Saray we know. I imagine we've CGI'd dark aura around them. Their eyes are all whited out. And Saray's like, "Guys, what's the matter?" And then they charge at Sensei and Carlin. Sensei dodges out of the way using some anime tactics. Like an actual anime fight. Sensei was born for this. And Carlin, I imagine, just sort of like takes a hit from Manny or whatever, and then just backs away. And Sensei and Carlin regroup. And Sensei's like, "I don't think these are our friends." Khan's like, "Of course they are, look at them." It's like, no, they look like it's their bodies, but he's done something. And he's like, "You'll never defeat me and my army. There's only one man strong enough to defeat my army, and he's not been around here in a long time." Sensei goes, "Defeat the army. Hold on." And Sensei and Colin sort of have a huddle. And Sensei whispers to Colin. And they're like, "Defeat the army. Dungeon of Doom. Not hot, the tap water, Colin's like, "I'm lost." WCW, Dungeon of Doom. Starcade's coming up, so it's very appropriately timed. Do you know who we need? And Colin's like, "Batman?" He's like, "No, not Batman. I mean, it's not actually that far less far-fetched than that, but we need the guy who defeated the Dungeon of Doom last time. We need him here. And I think I know how to summon him. And Khan's like, say his name?
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
And Joe Hendry's there like, sup? Khan's like, no, Joe, like, yes, it's good to have you here, but that's not who I'm talking about. And there's only one way to... I've got some of my vitamins here. I'm just taking my vitamins and you've summoned me, you said my name, so... Sensei's like, perfect, give me those. And then Sensei takes the vitamins off Joe Hendry, gives them to Carland. And then Carland's like... Sensei's like, Carland? How are we going to get out of here? And he's like, we're not. We seem pretty fucked. And Sensei's like, no. Please take, puts their hands together like they're praying. And Carland's like, oh, pray. Yes. Gestures at the vitamins and it's like, you want me to eat these and pray? And then Hendry's like, he wants you to say your prayers and eat your vitamins. And Carland's like, well, okay. Next, the vitamins. I was like, dear God, please send us help to defeat the Dungeon of Doom. And then, brother, help has arrived. Because who else is coming to defeat the Dungeon of Doom but the Hulkster himself? And the Dark Father, he can't believe his eyes. The Hulkster is here after all. And he's like, you, brother, you couldn't just let this place die. You had to come back here, not hot water, and try and end Hulkamania once again. Well, let me tell you, we've said our prayers, we've eaten our vitamins, and now what you gonna do, Dark Father, when Hulkamania, Carland with a C, the young sensei, and the local hero run wild on you? And then Hogan, Hendry, Sensei, and Carland charge in, and then the Dark Father and the evil members of My Wrestling Academia charge in, and we get that freeze frame of them charging each other. And it says to be continued at Starrcade. Not how I thought this series was going to go when I started it 3 years ago, with Dark Dio, Dark Manny, Dark Saray, and the Hulkster, and Joe Hendry, who I didn't put on screen for some reason. But it's not going to be an officially announced match, but this arc of My Wrestling Academia will come to an end this Saturday night. '83, good, but based on some of the other matches we've seen here tonight, a letdown. The Cyclone win again. Bronson Reed defeats Humberto in 13 minutes and 3 seconds with a tsunami. 84 for Bronson Reed, 78 for Humberto Carrillo. They've got pretty good chemistry, which is good to know. And what is funny about this match, actually, looking at it, because, after Mania, I've done, a binge. I've gone back, just flick through all my old pay-per-views and pay-per-view match cards and stuff. This was, one of the very first feuds I ever did in this whole save. Because it was Backlash, it was Aussie Might, which was Bronson Reed, Shane Thorne, and Brendan Brink against Humberto and the Vikings. And here we are, 3 years later, two iconic tag team wrestlers. Who'd have thought? Not me. Then after the match, Ricochet and Zergus also went to the ring. The big men shake hands, the little men shake hands. And it's going to be two of the best tag teams of the past year going at it 2-on-2 for the Raw Tag Team Championships this Saturday night at Starrcade. We then cut backstage, or we get a recap of Randy Orton's sudden RKO on Dudley Davis earlier on tonight. And we then cut back to Randy just storming through the hallway. Kathy Kelly catches up to him. She's like, Randy, do you care to explain your attack on Dudley Davis tonight? And Randy just sort of looks down and then just walks off without saying anything. We then cut back to the ring where Titus Billy Kay, Slim Shanky, and R-Truth are. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw earlier on over the past weekend, us here at Titus World Records have had a bit of a pickle when it comes to determining our new member, because there was 2 great finalists of the Titus World Record Factor. Those are Elias and this woman, the Axolotl. Now we need your help determining who these are gonna be. And then Truth taps Titus on the shoulder. He goes, "What is it, Truth?" He goes, "Who's that behind the mask?" And Titus is like, "We don't know, Truth. It's the Axolotl. She doesn't like to show her identity. But I want to know who she is before we vote her in. Like, what if we don't want her around?" I was like, she came here with that disguise on to get recognized for her voice and not for who she is as a person, Truth. But he does make some good points, what if she's an asshole? And Titus is like, "Well, it seems that we must quiz our participants up here. So, Elias, if you want to join Titus World Records, please tell me, what's your favorite moment from any of us here in Titus World Records?" And Elias, he just smiles, he strums the guitar, and he goes, "Titus, I was in the ring, Greatest Royal Rumble 2018, Titus Worldwide." And Titus is like, "Oh, of course, I should have seen that one coming. Now, Axolotl, what is your favourite moment from anyone here in Titus World Records?" And she's like, It's like, "Any day now, any day." She's like,
I don't really have a favourite moment from Titus World Records.
It's like, "Oh really? What's your favourite moment from any wrestler ever?" She's like,
Well, I really like Alexa Bliss, and I really liked how she won. I really like Stone Cold Steve Austin and him winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
Titus goes, "Interesting. So, Elias, over to you. We are under new authority here on Monday Night Raw, and what do you reckon you can bring to Batista and Rick Boogs?" And Elias is like, "Boogs is a lot like me. He likes to play guitar and rock and roll. I reckon me and him could, if he demands it, duet to get Titus World Records ahead." And Titus is like, "And Axolotl, you? What would you do? What are your thoughts on Raw management?" Axolotl was just silent for 5 seconds. It's like,
I think it's really bad. I don't understand why we needed to get Batista and Rick Boogs in. It's not really, I get Batista's a legend here because he got really any business experience. They fired Alexa at WrestleMania because she got screwed out of her job because, she was associated with 2 goobers. But they're going to give Batista a job of no credibility and then give a Boogs as a manager, an assistant he only employed, by the way, because I dared to ask if I could be Alexa asked if she could be Batista's assistant, and he said no. His loss.
and I was like, "Well, I think we found our answer. The winner and the newest member of Titus World Records is Elias." Elias is like, "Yes, I've always dreamed of this moment, Titus, thank you." And Axel was like,
Are you fucking kidding me? I was clearly better than him. I came here without this mask on because you're not supposed to know who I was, and the merit of my voice was going to get me to the spot in the group. And once I'm in the group, I'm signed to a WWE contract because I'm a member of a WWE group. And I don't want to forget it.
takes the mic off, takes the Axel head off. Alexa was in there. She's getting booed. She's like, "Oh, boo yourself." And she storms off to the back as Elias is celebrated as the new member of Titus World Records. Then cut backstage to Cody and the gang. Random Cole walks in, rev up those fryers style. It's like, "Yo, Cody, I know you saw that out there. Got the advantage at War Games, baby, Adam Cole, baby, delivering the goods, War Games, once again." Cody goes, "Yeah, great." It's like, what do you mean it was great?" It's like, "Yeah, it was great. You know, I believed in you, Adam. Right? Good job. Well done. It's like, is that it? He's like, yeah, what else do you want me to say? You know, War Games this Saturday. We're thinking about leaving if you want to come with us. Cause like, I mean, I've got Bobby and Kevin and David. I've got to go with. I mean, I'll catch you there. I'll catch you at the Dome. Cause like, great, see you there. Thanks again, by the way. And I sort of leave Adam Cole and Finn Balor and AJ and Cody share too sweet. Drew doesn't. They just awkwardly fist bump. And then Adam Cole just there like, yeah, I did do good, didn't I, Cody? And then come back to the ring. When we see Heat duo Caden Carr and Katana Chance like dancing around partying like they've just made their entrance ahead of an upcoming women's tag team match, and then their opponents come out. Fabulous. Out come Shayna Baszler and Carmella. Carmella looking, I imagine, slightly different to the Carmella we know. And Shayna Baszler still very much the same. But they come out there known as the Fierce and the Fabulous. We haven't seen either woman in a good while. And yeah, let me change their gimmicks real quick. Shayna's is great. Carmella's is great as well. Nice. Then we get a tag team match. It gets a 70. They've got excellent chemistry. I genuinely didn't test this beforehand, and I'm so happy with that. But yeah, it is Carmella and Shayna, the Fierce and the Fabulous, defeating KC2. Shayna Baszler submits Kaden Carr with a Kirifuda clutch. 68 for Shayna, 58 for Carmella, 55 for Kaden, and a 63 for Katana. So you're all sitting there wondering, Connor, what the fuck is going on here? Allow me to explain. Because I'm actually very happy with how this has all gone down. Especially with the chemistry note. So, as you know, Shayna and Carmella have been gone from WWE for a while. I released them, I think Shayna was gone in 2021. Carmella may have left a couple of months later. But since they both left, they have signed exclusive written deals with AAA. And they've been in Mexico, you know, honing their craft, for lack of a better term. Or like becoming more experienced workers down in Mexico. And obviously, I now own AAA. And I could, at any point, take their roster. But I thought to ease in, you know, if there was ever going to be any potential, like, crossover there, taking ex-WWE people that were signed to AAA and bringing them back up was the easiest way to go about, like, that slow crossover. And so AAA still open as a child company. I've just taken Carmella and Shayna off them, as well as a couple of other men that were down there that you'll see in the coming weeks. So they still have their AAA roster. You know, Vikingo's down there, Roosh, all of them. I could take them at a moment's notice, but I'm not doing that right now. But yeah, so I thought, you know, Carmella and Shayna were both down there. They both got released and left about the same time. Both been to AAA. Both, you know, prepared and trained down there, came back better. Imagine they formed some sort of bond down there. And now I've got a new tag team. They come back up, same grudge against WWE for letting them go. The Fierce and the Fabulous, excellent chemistry. We then cut backstage. Montez Ford and Bianca Belair are in Batista's office. Because what I'm saying is, the doctors haven't cleared him to compete. And he's like, girl, what do you mean? What do you mean the doctors haven't cleared him to compete, okay? Why don't you go check the doctors again, okay? It's like, no, but you know, first Gunther, then Nakamura, you know, but it's two tough, hard-hitting competitors back to back. And Tez, while he may have earned a lot of respect, I can't clear him for next week for a Money in the Bank qualifier. So he's like, that's it, you know, as the franchise player, you're not going to pull some strings for me. It's like, unfortunately, I'm not going to go against doctor's orders. Then Bianca sort of starts. He's like, Dave, you know those, I've got an idea. You know those wishes I won from WrestleMania for becoming your franchise player and saving your brand's ass? I'm using one right here, right now. Next week, you'll get in my man a match with Shinsuke Nakamura, Money in the Bank qualifier. And now you can't overrule that, because your franchise player wished for it. And Batista's like, well, I can't condone what's going to happen to Montez Ford if he wrestles next week, but since your wish is my command, next week Montez Ford, Shinsuke Nakamura, Money in the Bank qualifier. So yeah, Bianca Belair getting impatient. You know, Tez, he's been impressing recently. He's been losing, but it was to Gunther and Nakamura, so that's not really anything to look down on. But Bianca has demanded he get a Money in the Bank qualifier, and she's used a wish to get her man a qualifier. 88. Yeah, good. This may end up being the best in-ring episode of Raw of all time. Gunther and Wesley goes 11 minutes 42. Gunther does obviously beat him with a golden bomb. He fractures Wesley's cheekbone. You know, that's a price to pay for stepping into the ring with a ring general. 85 for Wes, 96 for Gunther. And his impressive run continues. Congrats. Thank you. Then, we cut to a pre-tape of Trish. Okay, it's WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus here. And as you know, this Saturday is Starrcade, WWE Starrcade. And we, being me, my bestie leader, have a bone to pick with those five next-gen girls, as you may have been seeing on Heat. And we decided to let you know that at Starrcade, it will be War Games, Next Gen's 5 against 5 WWE badass Hall of Famers, looking to avenge the old generation that's being disrespected by the new generation. And I'm here to let you know that on Heat, you'll see me in action for the right to win the advantage in War Games. And my full team will feature myself, Trish Stratus, Lita, Beth Phoenix, Molly Holly, and Alundra Blaze. Next Gen, see you there. So there's the full team of Hall of Famers. I didn't know where else to add them, because they're not all signed yet, but so they can't all just appear on Heat. So let's just have Trish just announce them now, get a big pop from the Raw crowd, and then advertise that Trish is going to be wrestling on Heat. Go watch Trish Stratus wrestle on Heat. But that's Starrcade and Heat this week. Next week we've got Monday Night Raw Fallout from Starrcade, but more importantly the build to Money in the Bank. And we start with the first qualifier for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It will be Women's Liberty Champion Roxy Perez defending her Liberty Championship against Mandy Rose after the issue they've had recently. And it will not only be a championship match, but the winner of that championship match will be in Money in the Bank. And then the second Money in the Bank qualifier on the women's side will be Zelina Vega, who we saw earlier on tonight, taking on Piper Niven, formerly of the Malcolm Nivens group, but now going solo here on Raw. And then her wish was Big Dave's command. Montez Ford, despite doctor's orders, will be in action, will be in a Money in the Bank qualifier next week at the wish of his wife, the franchise player Bianca Belair, as he takes on Ichiban Shinsuke Nakamura for a spot in the match. And it appears Anthony Nese did get a deal swindled with Batista, because next week it will be not exactly what he envisioned though, as Dominik Mysterio will be in a Money in the Bank qualifier against Warden and Grayson Waller, but Batista has also added Rey Mysterio to the match to make it a fatal 4-way. But that's next week's Raw. Before then we have Starrcade. Just a couple of things to go over here. The first being the full lineup for the Women's War Games match. It will be Trish Stratus, Lita, Beth Phoenix, Molly Holly, and Alundra Blaze Medusa, taking on Next Gen's Kathy Cool, Tracy Sharrow, Samantha Riggs, Nene Arizawa, and Lucy Stryker. And then just a quick update on this match. Charlotte Flair will defend the WWE Women's Championship, not the Raw Women's Championship, the WWE Women's Championship, against her former protege, Danny Jordan. And of course, last week on Heat, it was confirmed Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile will make the first defense of their women's tag team titles against the team that believe they should be the champions right now, that being Aoi Maikawa and Meiko Satomura, also of Ichiban. Oh, never fucking mind. 99 rated main event. Johnny fucking Wrestling is back, baby. This may be the best episode of Raw ever, ratings-wise. And in 19 minutes and 18, Chad Gable does retain the title with a roll-up to make sense number 3 of the IC title. They both score 91s. Holy shit. Oh my god, 99. This is as good as the WrestleMania main event. This is the joint best match of the entire save. I nearly got 100. What was stopping it? Hold on. Nothing. It just didn't quite get there. But yes, after an incredible match, Chad Gable's on the ramp. Thank you! Thank you! He then gets into the ring and he takes the mic. He's like, shush! Shush, please, shush! Now, I'm sure you all saw what incredible work Master Gable put in that ring right now to keep a hold of this Intercontinental Championship. And now, there's nobody who can step into the ring with me and put me to shame. And I will reign as the champion forever. Thank you.
From my plane, I control the game. You all know my name when the string.
Out comes Ridge Holland. And Gable's like, shush, shush before you start speaking, Ridge. Ridge, you know, great to see you, buddy, but what makes you think you're fit to challenge me for the title? And Ridge takes the mic, he goes, I don't. But I know someone who is. And then Gable turns around, bro kick by Sheamus. A Go-Go tries to take down Sheamus again. Sheamus this time fights him off. And Sheamus takes a microphone. He goes, fella, there's no mistake, you are one of the best wrestlers here in WWE. You're one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of the modern era. But I still want that title. So hear me out, fella. You give me one last shot. And if I lose, I'll leave you alone forever. So how about it, Chad? Me versus you for that Intercontinental Championship one final time in London at Money in the Bank. If I lose, I can never challenge for the Intercontinental Championship ever again. And Gable, he's taken aback. He's like, fine. You want me to never challenge for the championship again? You want to throw away your chance to ever hold this title to try and get one up on Master Gable, who's going to put you in the ground? Fine. Shamey. I've beaten you once, I've beaten you twice, probably even 3 times. What's a 4th? Because I would really love to be the man who put an end to your little quest. See you in London, fella. Thank you. So there's our first match announced for Money in the Bank. One final time for the Intercontinental Championship. Sheamus challenges Chad Gable. If he loses, he can never challenge for that IC title ever again. 95 rated show. Yep, fair enough. In ring wise, this was the best 4 I've ever done. 90, 97, 99. Yeah. Even the 80. Oh, 88 as well. I'm gonna. Yeah. 4 blue matches. And then 83 as well. And then ignore the women's matches. They weren't as good. But yeah. Speaking of women's matches, that's a great segue to Heat. Well, it's not actually a great segue because I've just said they weren't very good, but the man's on Heat will be, so watch them, please. Heat kicks off with a decent singles match ahead of the women's tag team title match at Starrcade. Ali Maikara and Ivy Nile go one-on-one here on Heat, and it is Ali who picks up the win. She beats Ivy 13:55 with a Crash Rabbit Heat. 65 for Ali, 63 for Ivy, and yeah, 69 for the match is actually good considering that's what they scored individually. And yeah, big momentum heading in towards Ichiban, heading into Starrcade, I guess. We then see what I can then describe as a montage of like a plane flying over to Japan, J-Flo coming home, exploring Japan, Brooks Jensen's there, like he sneaks onto a plane, he flies himself out to Japan. But last week he asked J-Flo if he could come and they said no, but he's just gone on his own accord. And he's following them around. He's got like a newspaper. You can see him just stalking them in the background, like watching to see what they get up to as they just sort of guff around Tokyo or whatever. And then we get a clip of their concert in Japan. Probably not that big of a sellout, They're not like they're not like selling out 90,000. Just a moderate size building. And Brooks is at the front. You see Brooks, he's head to toe in J-Flow merch. He's got a J-Flow cap backwards on his head. He's got J-Flow shirt. He's got all the J-Flow merch. He's at the front on the guardrail, like bobbing up and down, going woohoo, yeah. And then Mac, you imagine singing, just spots him and just laughs at him as she sees him there. Then after the show, they go out the back to leave, and Brooks is there. He's like, "Oh, awesome show, girls. So glad I could make it." And then they just all laugh at him, going, "He came all the way here to see us." And then Mackie just laughs and goes, "Yeah, loser." And then they walk off, and he's like, "See you at Raw Monday." So yeah, funny segment. Brooks sneak into a J-Flow gig, looking completely out of place. Oh, 71. Okay. Didn't need to go this hard, girls, but whatever. The team of Lyra Valkyria and Killer Kelly take on Yoko Miko in tag team action. It is Lyra and Killer Kelly who pick up the win. Killer Kelly pins Kimiko with a super kick. 54 for Killer Kelly, 61 for Lyra, 54 for Kimiko, and a 76 for Yoko. And yeah, this is, I guess, maybe testing them as a tag team, because, you know, they're both European, they could work together. But more importantly, after the match, Florence comes out. It's like, "Evening, ladies, you know, I saw you two work together, you're both badass, you know, you're both great, you're both on SmackDown. Are you two free Friday night? Because I've got a big tag match you could be a part of." And then they accept, so it seems that Florence has found her partners against Damage Control, those being Lyra Valkyria and Killer Kelly. They get 65. Shotzi beats B-Fab in a match that happens. 67 for Shotzi, 50 for B-Fab. Yeah. Not much to note here, really. We then head to the main event. It's going to be Trish Stratus taking on Kathy Hall of Next Gen for the War Games advantage. Trish's music hits, and nobody comes out. And then Trish's music hits again after it stops. Still nobody comes out. And then the Next Gen music hits, and they all come out. Kathy Hall in her gear. The others all in their Next Gen street clothes, I guess. And over Nene's shoulder is a unconscious Trish Stratus. And I imagine Samantha Riggs and Lucy are probably pulling Lita out as well. She's also laid out there. They've each got one of her arms and they're pulling her out as well. Just dumping her on the ramp. And Kathy Cool just jollily walking down to the ring with Nene by her side. Beth Phoenix probably also comes out, but then there's 3 of them on the ramp waiting for her. They leave her laying. Nene tosses Trish into the ring. And Kathy Cool takes her time sliding into the ring. She takes the jacket off, the hat off. And then the bell rings, and she just immediately covers Trish 1, 2, 3 to score the win. To win the advantage for Next Gen. This whole thing was an angle, not a match in the game, because I'm an idiot, and I forgot that Trish can't wrestle on B shows, and he is a B show. And I'd already advertised that Trish would be having a match, so this seemed like the good out to do. But yeah, Kathy Cool wins. The heels get the advantage in that match, like the babyfaces got it in the men's match. And that ends Heat. That ends the final show from Raw before Starrcade. It gets a 71 somehow. The segments really carried this. And this random tag team match that banged for no reason. Anyway, what matters more on that is what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for SmackDown's go home show for Starrcade. See you then.